So a lot of this is gonna be, so much of this is basically exactly what I say in my listing presentations and when I'm actually meeting with sellers to list their house, whether I'm trying to win the business or if I've already won it, I'm just letting them know what's gonna happen. Really, like anything else, right? We talk about this all the time. Setting expectations and explaining the listing process. If you want to have, sellers are just like buyers. They don't know what's happening. They have strangers walking through their house. They're about to spend a bunch of money. They're about to make a bunch of money. They're about to move, all this stuff. They have an emotional tie to their house, so they're just nervous. They're overly nervous. So the more you can let them know what's gonna happen next and what we're gonna be doing, the more comfortable they are with the whole process. If you're not communicating with them and you're not telling them what's happening, what's coming next, they're just kind of antsy, right? They're jumpy. And it can cause them to make irrational decisions. It can cause them to shut down or fight or flight. And so the more you can communicate and the more you can set expectations, the more receptive and the more you'll be able to influence them. The more receptive they'll be and the more you'll be able to influence them. So we're gonna talk about listing the right way. We're gonna set expectations and explain the listing process. We're gonna explain the buying process so they know what's happening on the other side of the deal. And then explain how we read the market. I think this is really important. I'll touch more on all these, but reading the market, you can never, sometimes you have to deliver bad news to clients. And it's always important to bring them data-driven decisions instead of my gut tells me this, or I think this, or this might work. The more data you can provide, the less likely they can argue and win that argument, right? So we're gonna read the market. We're gonna talk about how to do that. Okay, setting expectations. So we're gonna comp the property, provide a price range. So the folders we hand out here, these are the conversations that we tell you to have with your sellers. We wanna talk about comps. We wanna talk about the price and the condition of the home. We want to talk about showings and offers. That's how we're going to read the market. We're going to talk about make-ready items that you need to do on the house. We're going to talk about how we're going to market it. And then we're going to talk about how showings are going to work and how feedback's going to work. So if you look in your folder, it's the exact same things that are in here. So when I have clients and I go to their house, I usually bring this and I check it off as I go down it. Because whether I have all their comps, I have all the photos, everything in here, and I check it off as I go down it. So comping the property, it's important. Again, we'll go over this several times. The market will dictate the price. So I can't tell you what it's gonna sell at. I'm guessing. I'm making a very educated guess based on data and historical data, but I am guessing what it's gonna sell at. So I'm gonna provide a price range for my clients. I'm gonna say, I think it's gonna fall in the 290 to 325 range or 290 to 300 range, whatever it might be. Because their house, their condition of their house is not gonna be exactly like some of the other houses. The past comps, there is a different group of buyers 3 months ago than there is now, right? So comps 3 months ago are not going to sell for the same now. So it's a different market, it's different buyers, it's different house, it's different everything. So that's why I'm going to put it in a price range, and I'm going to tell them, I'm going to give them kind of comparisons. If your house is in fair condition, it should sell maybe at the lower end of that range, closer to 290. If it's in good condition, kind of in the middle. If it's in great condition, then it should sell towards the upper end of that range. And so that's why I give clients a range, and it allows us to be flexible once we get to the market. Instead of just saying, we need to list it here. This is what the comps tell me. It's a range. Price and condition. So this is how, this is us explaining to the sellers what's happening in the market, right? We'll use this term several times. The market will dictate the price of your home. So we're gonna determine if the market thinks your home is priced right, based on price and condition, because the home will sell as soon as the buyer's perception of price matches the condition of the home. It will sell every single time. So that's where if we're not selling or if we're not getting the traffic or something, it's because price and condition have not met yet, and we need to play with those two things until they meet. So that's where you're kind of explaining to the seller, if for whatever reason we're not getting the traffic or the offers or what we want, then these are the only two things we can adjust. We can either adjust the price or adjust the condition. There is no magic bullet. There's no extra thing to do. There's no button to push or marketing strategy we haven't tried. We're all doing the exact same thing. It's price and condition. My job is to get it out in front of a ton of people. I'm gonna do that, and if no one buys it or if we don't get the traffic, It's because the price and condition don't match. We need to figure that out. The way we read the market to determine if the market thinks price and condition match is by showings and offers. How many showings are we getting on the property, and have we received any offers? We'll dive more into that here in just a minute, but that's how we're actually reading the market once it's an active listing. So we're gonna explain these to our clients, right? If it's not selling, either decrease the price or increase the condition. We're gonna determine if we need to do one of those things based on showings and offers. I'll show you how to look at the data here in a minute, but we're gonna determine, okay, in this price range, in our area, I need 5 showings a week so that I can sell my house in 30 days, which is the average days on market, right? So on average, we're getting about 20 showings to pending in this area. So I need 5 a week. So if 2 weeks goes by and I haven't gotten 5 showings a week, then we need to make an adjustment. Or if a month goes by, right? We need to make an adjustment because the market is telling us we're under the average on showings. And if we're under the average on showings, we're gonna be above the average on days on market. This making sense? I feel like I'm going back and forth much. So explaining how we're going to read that market to them. I'll go into it more here in a minute. Talk about make readies for the house. A lot of sellers think I'll paint the house if a buyer asks me to, or I'll fix this broken thing once I have an offer, or I'll replace this window whenever before closing. And the problem is the buying process is an entirely emotional process. There's very little logic built into this buying process. So if a buyer comes into your house and sees these little make-ready, these little punch list things all over the house, in their head, they're gonna freak out about it. They're gonna think, okay, if I can see these things, what things can't I see? And they're gonna irrationally freak out about it. Again, no logic. Or they're gonna see this repair, and even though it costs $1,000, they're gonna think, oh, it's gonna cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Because they have no idea, they have no imagination, they have no construction experience. So doing make-readies is the easiest way to make your house pop as soon as it's on the market. A coat of paint makes the house look brand new, whether it be in one room or the whole house. Fixing the little things, if there's something wrong in a high traffic area, spend money to fix it. If paint is bad, paint it, because that'll make a house look brand new immediately. So there's little things that you want to talk about in that make-ready conversation, so that when their house hits the market, it sets a really good first impression. Marketing. So this is my marketing strategy. It's worked for many years. I've seen examples of it working. I've seen examples of someone else doing the opposite and not working, and then me doing it and it working. But my number one marketing strategy is the internet. It's the MLS. There's no secret here. When I put it on the internet, when I put it on the MLS sends it out to 80 plus websites across the internet, ones you've never even heard of. And then anyone on the planet who's interested in a house kind of like yours will see it. They can't not see it, right? Because the internet exists. So the best thing I can do to market your property is make sure the marketing represents the home in a good light, that it looks attractive, that I highlight the important things, that I hide the unimportant things. So marketing is not where I'm gonna market, it's how I'm representing it in my marketing. And so what we do, that I think a lot of people do the opposite of, we actually, and it sounds counterproductive, but I show less pictures of the house. That's the bottom line of it, is I show less pictures. 10 to 15 pictures of the house max is what you want. I just saw today when I logged into the MLS, did you see that? They increased, what they increased it to? 50. So you used to be able to show like 30. Then they moved it to 36, and now it's 50 photos of a house. And I wish they'd track this data and give it to us. I wanna know, like, what is the click-through rate of 50 photos? How many listings does someone actually look at 1 through 50? I'll bet it's close to 0. I'll bet it's under 10%, under 5% probably. It's an absurd amount. Yeah, and if they do, yeah, how long do they stay on the photo for more than 1 second? It's an absurd amount of photos. The average house in Oklahoma is like 1,800 feet. You can't take 50 photos of an 1,800 foot house. You can't do it. So it's absurd, it's not necessary. So the concept behind this is less is more when it comes to online marketing. Put yourself in the mind of a buyer. With Zillow and all the other stuff, I can look at 100 houses a day online. And the next day I can look at 100 more if I wanted to. And so the mind of a buyer, especially when we're online shopping, really what we're doing is we're trying to exclude properties that I don't have to go see, right? And so when I'm on Zillow or Realtor.com or my portal, whatever it might be, as a buyer, I'm just looking for reasons not to go see this house, right? And so I scroll through, I see something weird, I go on to the next one. I scroll through, I see something that won't work for me or my family, I go on to the next one. So with online marketing, less is more. If I can just put 10, think of it like a magazine, right? You're not gonna put, if I was gonna pay money and advertise in a magazine, I'm not gonna put 50 photos in there. I'm gonna put 2 or 3 or 4 of the best photos to make that house look amazing. Same thing with online marketing. Put 10 photos in there that make the house look amazing. So when that buyer is scrolling through and they only see 10 photos and they like all 10 of them, they don't hate any, there's nothing to make them hate that house. They text it to the realtor, they say, hey, let's go see this house. Less is more. It's a hook. It's a bait on a hook. Online marketing is just a hook to get them in the house. No consumer buys houses online, if they can avoid it. Some buy them from out of state, very small percentage of the market. But most people have to walk in a house, feel an emotional attachment to it before they'll buy it. Because it's very expensive, it's not a logical process. You have to have that emotional appeal to it. So the purpose of online marketing is to get foot traffic. That's all it is. I'm not trying to sell the house. I'm not trying to show you every square inch of the house. I'm just trying to get foot traffic so that when people walk through, they can have an emotional appeal to it. And once they come through the house, now I know who they are. I can follow up with them. I can ask them questions. I can get feedback. If I see, I hear for sale by owners talk about this all the time. I'll ask them how the marketing's going and they'll say, 20,000 people have viewed it on Zillow. Okay, well, what has that done for you? Because you've only gotten 3 showings, right? So, or 100 people have saved it. That doesn't do anything. I can't follow up with those people. I can't contact those people. I can't get feedback from those people. But if I can show them a little bit, force them to call me or email me or come to the house, now I can follow up with them, I can get feedback, and I can close them, and they can build an emotional attachment to the property. So it sounds counterproductive to show less of the property, but the idea is reduce the exposure of the house to create more interest, to create more curiosity, get more foot traffic, and then sell people who come through. Because no one will look at pictures and think, I like all these pictures, but there's just not enough of them. Next. They're not gonna do that. They're gonna say, let's go, I gotta go look at this house. They're gonna come by an open house. They're gonna come do a private showing. So with online marketing, less is more. I think I beat a dead horse there a little bit. I don't go that much into it when I'm talking to my client. But the idea is less is more. Online marketing is designed to get foot traffic, not show them the every square inch of the house, right? You see, I was gonna pull up an example, but I didn't have time to go find one. And I bet I can find one in 3 seconds. But there's houses out there that take 3 photos of a hallway bathroom, right? And it's like this big by this big, and there's 3 photos of it. 8 photos of the exterior, laundry room that's this big, taking 2 photos of it. So it's just not necessary. Only awesome, great stuff. And then that will get people to come see your house. So make sure they explain the marketing, because if you don't explain that to them, when you push it out there with 8 to 12 photos and their neighbor has 50, they're gonna think, what the heck? My guy isn't working hard for me, right? Or something stupid in their head. So explain what's happening. When you explain it to them, it makes sense to them, but you have to explain it to them. And then showings and feedback. So it's important to understand when I list this house, it's gonna go out to 5, 6, 7,000 real estate agents. A very high probability that another realtor is gonna bring the buyer. I'm not gonna be present for every single showing. So the way showings are gonna work is we're gonna get requested, you're gonna get a text message, you approve it, another realtor is gonna come through. If there's not a realtor, I'll be there. But you're explaining that I'm not gonna be there every time and that you need to be on your toes all the time because a showing could come through this afternoon. So keep the house clean, do all that stuff. Eat out most of the time so you don't get crumbs and crap everywhere. So keep the house ready because we could have to show a house at any time and I won't be there most of the time. The other thing is feedback. You have to set this expectation. When you get really busy, maybe even if you have 2 or 3 listings, but if you get to a point hopefully where you've got 4, 5, 6 listings and another 5, 6, 7 buyers, you're gonna be getting blown up with communication from everyone. Title companies, lenders, buyers, sellers, other realtors, showing agents, you're getting blown up. This is one thing you can do to reduce the amount of calls you're getting. So if I'm having 4, 5, 6 showings a week on a house, which I hopefully am, I don't want the seller calling me during and after every single showing. So I set the expectation that every Monday or Friday at that one conference we went to, can't remember her name, she said she did it on Fridays to free up her weekend, which I thought was an interesting idea. I always did them on Mondays. But the idea is, I call in on Monday, I give you all the feedback from the last week. All the showings you had, any open house we had, any weekend traffic we had, I give you all the feedback. We talk about the market, we talk about what houses went pending in your area, what houses came on the market in your area. I'm just having a weekly conversation with you about your listing. Worst thing you can do as a listing agent is not call or contact, and they're just sitting over there wondering if you're even alive anymore. And that happens so much. Communication is the #1 thing realtors suck at. So set the expectation. Every Monday, every Friday, whatever, I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna tell you about our feedback. I'm gonna tell you about any activity we got, and I'm gonna tell you about the market, what's going on around us. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna have a week when nothing happens. No showings, no one came through your open house, nothing came on the market, nothing went pending, nothing sold, nothing. And you're gonna be like, I don't really need to call them. Call them anyway. Tell them all those things. Because nothing happening is something happening, right? That means nothing's happening. They need to know that. They need to know it's not you, it's the market. We didn't have one house come on the market. We didn't have one house go pending. And if that stuff's happening, call the other listing agents around too. See if they're experiencing what you're experiencing. Then you can share that with your seller. Hey, I called 10 listing agents around us and they're all feeling the exact same thing. Or they're saying this and this, maybe we should try this and this. You know, give them feedback each week. And if there's no feedback to give, create feedback to give. I called these people and this is what they said, right? Instead of just being like, I don't know what to do, create something to talk to them about. You're the listing agent. Did all these make sense? So these are the conversations I have when I'm sitting down to list a home, and these are the conversations I have when I'm trying to capture, because really in my listing presentation, I probably take a different approach than a lot of people. I don't like to throw my accolades out there, say I'm awesome, I'm great, I can do this, blah, blah, blah. I just want to lay out the process and make them comfortable with me. You know, I kind of pull the curtain back a little bit. Here's what we're going to be doing. Here's what I'm looking at. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Here's what's going to happen. I want to make them comfortable with me so that when they're trying to decide who to pick, it's like, I felt the best when Brett was talking to me, or Brett explained everything really well versus some guy who's like, I've done this and this and this, and I'm the best, and I'm going to charge you this. So this is kind of my listing presentation. I set expectations with them up front. So that's a whole nother process as well. So pricing condition, I'm very visual. I'm a very visual learner, so I made this graph years ago. So home will sell when the buyer's opinion of price matches the condition. And so here is a graph. This is the sell line. If you price your house on the sell line, it will sell in the average days on market. So if the average days on market for your zip code or your neighborhood is 20, then you price it here, it'll sell in the average days on market. If the average days on market is 60, and you price it on the sell line, it'll sell in 60 days. Make sense? Now now here's your price and here's your condition. Now if my condition's really good and I price it really low, then it's gonna be in here and it's gonna be less days on market, faster sale. Now if my condition's low and my price is high, it'll be longer days on market. That all makes sense? So this is the sell line. So good condition, high price is on the sell line. Fair condition, medium price, sell line. Poor condition, low price, sell line. Good condition, low price, fast sale. Make sense? So this is it. So I like to explain this and show this to them again because we'll go over another slide here in a minute. But again, the idea is when price and condition meet, it will sell on the average days on market. Explain the buying process. So again, have to have this conversation with the sellers so they understand why we're doing what we're doing and how it's not an exact science. The buying process is entirely emotional. There is almost no logic in the home buying process. People will make a decision based off emotion and then try to justify it with logic, but it is founded in emotion. And so because of that, it's not predictable. Because it is based on emotion, it is subjective to each buyer. One house could sit on the market forever and then the right buyer moves into town, loves it, and buys it. Was it worth that? Maybe, maybe not. It sat there forever, didn't sell, but someone came in and bought it, right? It's a subjective process, emotional process. So based on the comps, we're gonna put the home in a price range, like I told you, somewhere between 290 and 300, 320, something like that. And then the market will dictate the price, right? The market will determine if the price and condition meet and at what price, and they're gonna make us offers. I had a listing years ago. It was a condo, it was overpriced. I wanna say it was 300. We had it 3 or 320, something like that. Set on the market, finally got an offer at like 260. Didn't accept it. Got another offer at like 270, didn't accept it. Got another offer at like 265. And I finally had to, like, 3 buyers have come in, independent of each other, weeks apart from each other, and offered all right about the exact same thing, 260 to 270. The market is telling us this is what it's worth. Now we can hold on to it forever if you want, but this is what the market is telling us. So we're either A, be okay holding it forever, or waiting on a unicorn to fly into town and buy it, or we can listen to the market and come down. It's not your fault that it's not priced right. You have to give them the information. They're adults, they make the decision. But based on what the market's telling us, we need to be down here. If you want to stay up here, that's fine. We might sell it, but it's like I can't predict it. It's going to be unpredictable. So you come down here, I can predict it. So the market will dictate the price. And so that was a real live example of the market very, very clearly telling us where the price should be at. If the home isn't selling, there's only 2 options: decrease the price or increase the condition. Again, right? So here we are. If the condition's great, even if it's awesome condition, it could still be off the scale on price, right? And you still have to bring the price back down. So there's only 2. There's an x-axis and a y-axis here. There's only 2 variables. There's only 2 things to change. Again, there's not another line that says marketing. There's not another line that says how good your realtor. It's price and condition. And so if those 2 are not in line, it will not sell. There's only 2 things you can do: is decrease the price or increase the condition. But again, setting the expectation up front here, again, it's not a science. This is an emotional, subjective process. And so that's why you have to explain that. We're going to set a range. We're going to let the market dictate the price, and then listen to the market. We're going to take action based on what the market is telling us. This is how you can explain it to your sellers, the buying process. Again, another illustration of the buyer's opinion of your price. So valuing a home is subjective. Using comps will put in a range of fair market value. It's important to understand that the market will dictate the price. So if you're above market value, you can maximize your profits, but dramatically reduce the number of interested buyers. Fair market value increases potential for a fast sale without sacrificing your profits. And then below market value will get you much more interest and sell faster, but you risk leaving money on the table. So there's a larger pool of people who want to buy below market. There's a good pool of people who want to buy fair market who will, and then a lower volume of people who will pay above market. And this, again, these are people who are coming in from out of town, have a really niche need, stuff like that. They might pay above list price. So if you're listed above price, that's fine, but we're gonna have less people even interested in the property. So again, important to understand that, explain that to your clients. It's not you saying you're overpriced, it's me saying I'll list it there, but there's just gonna be less interested people.